the NBA, some positive news out of Lakerland. LeBron James, the timeline has now been presented, and he could return potentially as early as next week. This is huge news for a Lakers team that has been struggling as of late. This Lakers team has lost 3 straight games to the Dallas Mavericks, and now are currently sitting in the 5th seed in the Western Conference, only a game and a half above the Dallas Mavericks for the 6th spot in the Western Conference. And this is actually now officially the longest amount of time that LeBron James has sat out a season due to an injury. This is the longest. High ankle sprain. This will have been about 5 weeks. And so the Lakers had been reeling right now. Again, they had lost 3 straight games, barely a game and a half above the Mavericks for the 5th spot. Now, fortunately for them, they've got an easier slate of games coming up. They've got the Orlando Magic, the Washington Wizards on the road, Sacramento Kings, Toronto Raptors, and the Denver Nuggets at home. Now, I don't personally love hyperboles. I don't like to embellish. I try to the best of my abilities to speak on things accurately and to speak on things as they truly are. No reason to utilize a facade and to embellish in certain situations. But I will say this. It is fascinating to me how quickly narratives can change because of one person. When you are with your group of guys and you're preparing to go out to a bar and your alpha, the 5th guy in your platoon, isn't there, you can see the rest of the confidence is shaken amongst the rest of the group. And so every time they walk into the bar, they don't have the same confidence. They're a little bit more shook. And ultimately, they kind of underperform, underachieve, and they're reticent to extend beyond their social group, extend beyond their social circle, and actually reach out and talk to people and socialize with people. And it's funny how immediately you bring that alpha back into the group, and now all the confidence is returned. The swagger is restored. They carry themselves high. They hold their chest out high. They walk with a certain bravado, and they have a certain confident gait as they walk in. And they're shot with additional confidence. That is LeBron James. And Jeannie Buss summed it up best when she literally said, quote unquote, LeBron is the closest thing to a superhero. That's what Jeannie Buss said, the Lakers owner. LeBron's averaging 25 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists this season. The Lakers are 35 are so much better, 26 and 13 rather, with him in the lineup, 9 and 11 without him in the lineup. And they're currently 5th in the Western Conference. And again, it's been neck and neck between them, and now the Mavericks are close. The Portland Trailblazers are behind. If there ever was a mortal superhero in the NBA, if there ever was, it would be LeBron James. Let's think about it. Cleveland hadn't been a relevant franchise ever until they drafted him in 2003. And then he returns, and he wins them their first championship in the franchise's history. The Miami Heat were a good franchise. Dwayne Wade had already won a championship, but they really had kind of dropped off the standings a bit. They were once again made much more formidable and the favorite in the NBA and especially the Eastern Conference once he went there, and he won 2 titles in 4 years. The Lakers hadn't won a championship in over a decade, and he joins a franchise in shambles that had been drafting in the lottery consistently, and he leads them to a championship for the first time in over a decade. So, again, I don't like to embellish with certain players, but there is that certain effect that LeBron can have on a team that is superhero-esque. And the Lakers are just trying to get healthy right now. Anthony Davis has returned. He played in the two matchups against the Dallas Mavericks on the road, and he was actually citing, again, the lack of chemistry as an issue for some of their struggles, as a contributing factor to some of their struggles. And that's not surprising to me. It's not surprising to me at all that Davis and Drummond and the whole team, they're trying to reintegrate Davis into the lineup. I understand that there are going to be some missteps. They're going to have their fair share of struggles. That part isn't surprising at all. The fact that there isn't immediate cohesion when AD comes back to the lineup. But LeBron is the ultimate lubricator. He's the ultimate adhesive. Watch what happens now with the Lakers when he returns. Now, I'm not saying they're going to jump the standings and move up from the 5th seed to the 4th seed or the 3rd seed. They'll probably stay right in at the 5th seed whenever LeBron returns, whether it's the end of this week, whether it's next week, it doesn't matter. But there's a reason why he is who he is, why he is the unrivaled best leader in the NBA, especially right now. So I think the Lakers are in a good spot. Again, they've got an easier slate of games coming up. The Mavericks do as well. But this is huge news, if for nothing else, for morale. You have to know that the entire locker room was just injected with more confidence. First, when Anthony Davis came back, and now with the prospect of LeBron James on the horizon, making his anticipated return. Not to mention, I think that the Lakers right now are trying to avoid the 6th spot. I think the Clippers are hoping the Lakers avoid the 6th spot. Both of these teams are hoping to avoid one another and avoid a first-round collision. Obviously, be entertaining for us as the fans, but people would love to see them compete in the Western Conference Finals, not in the first round. So there's a lot of interesting pieces, a lot of interesting moving parts here that will need to get dissected.